What's going on, everybody? Kevin here, and I'm not going to be as formal, as polished in this video because this is something I'm just ranting off the top of my head, because this is just something that, from what I've been seeing, I just want to put out there. Now, everybody by this time has seen or heard or got a snippet of the whole Will and Jada and the entanglement situation and the relationship she had with the singer August Alsina. What? Alsina. I said Austin, Alsina, and so on and so forth. But instead of dwelling on them and their relationship because they're doing what works for them, it made me go back and think about my own marriage, my own relationship. Mind you, I got married very young. I got married when I was 21 years old, and literally a week after I turned 21, my wife was 20. And even now when I look back, I'm recording this in July, so in August of next month, we'll be celebrating our 18-year anniversary. And I'm gonna be honest, for me, I'm fortunate because it doesn't feel like it's been 18 years. You know, for me, it just feels like, man, we just living life, we're loving on each other. And the only thing that puts like reality in my face as we're growing and learning and building together is how old our children are getting, how tall our children are getting. How I remember listening to certain albums, certain music, and getting them ready for bed, and now they get themselves ready for bed. They can get their own food and drinks out the refrigerator now. You know, my oldest, I got her a cell phone. They're almost at the point we're gonna start talking about driving and just certain conversations. It just blows my mind. But the other thing that made me think about this is how some people were disappointed with the Will and Jada situation, and saying, although they respect their relationship, they don't want the love the same way Will and Jada has it. And that some people were, like I said, they were disappointed, and they had them on this pedestal of, you know, this is what we want to shoot for. This is the type of relationship we want to have, which can be dangerous when you do that with celebrities or you do that with people who share their relationships online, because you don't always get everything or every aspect of it. This is why sometimes I tell people that if there is a couple that you want to look up to, or somebody that you feel like that you want to borrow pieces from their relationship, make sure it's people that you can actually touch, you can actually talk to, and people that you can ask them questions. But not only ask them questions, you can actually see how they operate. I don't want to say on a day-to-day, but you can see them in person, and you know that they're actually real. Because that's not to say that the people you see online are fake, but at the same time, they're only going to put so much information out there. They're only going to tell you but so much. So sometimes looking at them as your hope, especially if you're somebody that wants to get into a traditional marriage, because there are some people, they want the whole 9 yards with the traditional marriage. Even if it has the potential to end in divorce, they still want to go that route. They still want that ability to be able to do that. They don't want to engage in all these other type of relationships, whether it's a domestic partnership or in a common law marriage. They want the whole 9 yards, the whole thing. And there's nothing wrong with that. But if you do, I always ask people, okay, well, if you do want to get married, what are your expectations for marriage? You know, because trust me, it's more than just the wedding day. I try to warn people, never say that your wedding day, well, I won't say never say never, but try to steer away from saying that your wedding day will be the happiest day of your life, because if so, then I'm here to tell you, it's just gonna go all downhill from there. But I get the sentiment, I get the expression, but if anything, your wedding day can or should be one of the best days or happiest days of your life, but it shouldn't be the happiest day of your life. But I can save that for another video, another conversation. But back to talking about that pedestal and putting people on a pedestal. And plus, I know how that feels. My wife and I, believe it or not, to some people, we are the example that they look up to. And not in a, we worship y'all and y'all are perfect in our eyes and y'all can do no wrong. But as far as evidence or proof that people can get married, they can like each other, they can love each other, they can raise a family together, they can build, that we are that couple. And I'm gonna be honest with you, it's flattering, but it sucks at the same time. And the reason why I say that, because I had a couple like that where I looked at like that and they fell apart, and for a moment I had to work things out and bring stuff around in my own head to make me realize, like, look, you are in your marriage and you need to do what you need to do for your family, your household, and with the woman that you said that you loved, not hoping other people last or make it. And I mean, it's not to say I don't want to see people last and make it, but my marriage doesn't survive, lasts or determine how it ends based on somebody else's. But for those who are single, who desire to want to get married, I can understand how you would look at that, because you're saying to yourself, listen, I hear so much negativity. I hear people talk about so much wrong and why they don't want to and why they would rather have these other titles or these other type of relationships, that this is why it's best for me to just say single for the rest of my life, because they don't want to have to go through those things, the hurt, the pain, the financial loss, or whatever the case may be. Because even when I think about how I grew up and the stories and things my dad used to share, you know, when he was going through dealing with women and stuff like that, it showed me early on a lot of the things that I hear now when I hear men say, some men, not all, some men say there's no benefit to get married nowadays, and it's usually 90% it has to do with either finances or has to do with children. So like if you're going to court, you fight for a custody battle, and most states, I would say, I guess it's kind of turned around a little bit, but the mom automatically gets custody. Or if the man makes more money, then of course the significant other, depending on how the marriage ends, you have alimony, child support, and then whatever other assets and things you might lose. And then you're seeing, because women are doing better, that even some women are ending up having to pay, you know, alimony. I worked with a guy who was divorced that his wife paid him alimony. I didn't go into details or ask him like, how does all of that work or anything like that. I just know it's a thing and that he gets it. So I can understand why that can be a hang up, or why that can cause people to hesitate in jumping into it. And then people don't want to get hurt. You know, you hear how deceptive and how cruel people can be to other people, especially in a relationship, whether it's being verbally abusive, physically abusive, mentally abusive. I personally witnessed more manipulation than anything else in relationships. That and verbal. It's sad, it's heartbreaking, but it also lets me know why I'm thankful who I married, because one thing we both had on one accord about was that we both had a mindset that, look, we're not about the games, we're not about the drama. You know, if I want to be entertained, that's what sports, movies, and other forms of entertainment are for. But the relationship isn't going to be a form of entertainment where we see who can one up or outthink the other person to take advantage of the other person. So I'm always the dominating person in the relationship, so I always have the upper hand just to avoid getting hurt. Because like I said, humans can be trash. Humans can be serious trash at times. So therefore, people come up with these creative ways and these creative names for relationships, because you still want to be able to have a life partner or a partnership in some way, shape, or form, but you want to be able to create a way that you can walk out as unscathed as possible, even though sometimes it's not that simple. Even if you call it something else other than just a relationship or marriage or whatever the case may be, whatever you want to title it, because I had somebody come in one of my videos in my comment section talking about that. But at the end of the day, it's still based on the rules that you made for your relationship. And if somebody breaks it, it's ruined regardless of what you called it, because you done broke that trust. And that's another thing it made me think of, talking about, like, if anybody has been subscribed, and if not, it's one of the very first videos I put on this YouTube channel about the 4 attributes you need for a healthy relationship. And my most important one is trust. So if I lose trust, I don't have anything. That's why I don't fool around out here. Seeing all the mental gymnastics that people play, the games that people play, how, like I said, you gotta one up somebody. I ain't got time for that. I have somebody that trusts me and I trust her, and we both do what we can to make sure that the other person doesn't have a reason or an excuse to think otherwise, because we both know it's possible, because we're still both human beings. This is why I say I will never come out. Well, there's that word I was about to say I wasn't gonna say, never. But this is why I don't come out of my mouth saying, oh, I know my wife won't cheat, or she don't come out of her mouth and say she know I won't cheat, because anything can happen. But we put safeguards in place to make sure that doesn't happen. When I talked about the 4 attributes about commitment, communication, friendship, and trust, and how trust is the most important for me. But then another important one is communication. And the reason why communication is important, and when I say communication, because I heard a YouTuber, I heard a young man say this, and I agree with him 100%, that you have a lot of couples that say how important communication is, but they never say what that looks like. So I'm going to give you an example of what it looks like for me, and I got a perfect one for you. One of the things that always comes up that I hear men talk about, and I heard this young man said the same thing too, 22. I'm saying young like he's that much younger than I am. But but he said that I agree with is men talk about how attractive they are to their wives, and then you talk about childbirth, you talk about weight gain, you talk about different things like that, and how it's hard to have that conversation. For me, it was a little bit different, because let me first preference this. With communication, what I think good communication look like is you build such a bond with your significant other that you are able to communicate with them in a way that they can receive whatever it is you have to say, even if they don't like it. They can still receive it. So even if they gotta storm off and be mad for an hour or two, they'll still think about it and process it because you said it in a way they can receive it. Because a lot of people communicate, but a lot of people are not communicating effectively to their significant other. When you have a healthy and you have a strong communication, you've learned how to do that with your partner. You might not be good at it with doing it with other people, because you looking at a man that when I was growing up, I was the person that was like, I said it how I said it, you take it how you take it. But with my wife, I can't do that. With my wife, I gotta communicate efficiently. So going back to the weight thing, there was a video that came on that was suggested in my YouTube suggestions by a YouTube channel, two guys named Auburn and Preach. You might have heard of them before, you might not have. And it talked about how a guy told his girlfriend that he's losing attraction for her because she's gaining weight, so on and so forth. And so my wife looked at me, and the reason why she did, because before we got married, one of the conversations we had was, would I be honest with her if I felt like that she was getting to a size that I was losing attraction? How would I communicate to her that that is an issue? And my 21-year-old self said, well, I would suggest that both of us should go to the gym, especially if I know it's an issue that's not medical, because I know there are certain situations where regardless of how much dieting you do, how much exercise you do, or whatever the case you do, it's more of a medical condition than just needing to exercise or just needing to change your diet or just going to the gym. So I know that's a thing. But in our situation, that's not the case. So watching that video, she looked at me and she was like, so what do you think? And I said, well, your current size and everything right now, I'm cool with it. Like, and she said, well, how big do I have to get? I told her a person that we both mutually know, and she said, oh, you gonna wait till that long to finally say something? She said, I'm comfortable in my skin now, but I want to be better than where I am presently. But I want a partner and I want you to get in the gym with me. And I know I can say this in front of you all now, sharing this conversation, because she said we should make a video about it where you ask the people, hey, this is the situation, this is what I want to think. She wants to go to the gym. I don't. I'm the lazy one, but she does better when she's motivated with a partner. And I said, I'll tell you what they'll say. They'll say, well, it doesn't matter what I want, the husband. If my wife said this is what she wants and this is what she needs, because she wants to not only, do better, eat better, get in the gym, have that partner, but she wants me to do it along with her, and I need to suck it up and do it. You will be 100% correct in saying that, and I would agree. And I told her that's exactly what they would say. But we were able to have that conversation where there are some people, they wouldn't even get to that point. It'll be up here, but they'll never say it verbally. So when you have that type of communication where you're able to talk to your significant other, where to talk about those hard topics and talk about it, they can receive it. That's one effective way I see of having good communication skills. And I mean, for me, like I said, trust is a big thing, having trust issues in the past, and a lot of people deal with different things in trust and situations that why they're on the path that they're on right now, the commitment portion of it, because I'm committed to this, and because I'm committed to this marriage, I'm committed to this relationship, there are certain things that I'm going to make sure I do to make it right and to make it in a space that where we want it to be, not necessarily where I want it to be, just where I want it to be, but where we want it to be. So of course there's going to be some give, there's going to be some take, there's going to be some time where one feels like they're pulling or putting more or pouring more into the relationship than the other, or vice versa. But for us, we did go into our marriage saying that divorce was not an option. So therefore, in our mindset and in our verbiage and saying that then, and even so much, and even so now, is that we're going to exhaust all possibilities before we get to that point. Because, believe it or not, there was a time, like I said, when I saw the relationship happen and end and a marriage end, and I was just like, man, can I end up going through the same thing? And then all these things I used to hear when I was younger started filling my head up, and I was just thinking like, man, there's a path. My wife said that. She said there was a path at one time where you see every couple go down where it leads to a point of no return. And she said, we're not on that path and we're not even headed towards it, but the fact that it's even visible is a problem. what are we going to do about that? And we sat down, we had a conversation, started talking about what we need to do to make things stronger, to continue to get back to where we need to be. And we worked on that because it's something that we both wanted. Like I said, I love marriage because I love who I'm married to. And because of that, it's something that I want to do. That's why there's certain things I'm not out here acting foolish. You don't see me out here searching for things that I don't need to be bothered with, because if I wanted to find it, I know it's out there. But the fact that I'm not looking for it, I don't get myself into certain situations. But I'm not saying that to say that, oh, because of that, I'm better than anyone else, because people have to go through their different trials and tribulations in their relationship and build it and make it what they wanted. But that's it, because now I'm about to just start rambling. I'm about to start ranting. Which, who am I kidding? I was already ranting. But I just wanted to get this off my chest, and it felt good to be able to turn on the camera. I don't even know if I'm actually going to upload this, but to get it off my chest, to be able to talk about it. Like, if you want to get married, think about why you want to get married. What are your expectations for getting married? You know, what type of person are you looking for? What type of person are you? You know, like the term so many people like to use, what do you bring to the table? But please don't say you are the table, because that's hilarious to me. And that's foolish to me too, because I think about what I use tables for. And the only thing I've ever used tables for was to either put things on or to sit on them. Usually you want something that you bring to it, because the table has a use, but it's just used for sitting things on. All right, I'm not going to go too deep into that analogy. Maybe I'll use it some other time, but not right now. But that's it. That's all I have for you all. You can leave whatever comments you want to leave in the comment section below. You know, this isn't one of those videos where I ask a question, what do you think, or anything like that. This is just basically just me getting something off my chest. That's all I have for you all. So as always, be wise. And until I see you all next time, have a great day.